So I'd like to start, Yochai, with you, if I may. Your book, Network Propaganda, which I found riveting because of my work in, not network propaganda, but in a network, says the following. You call it a crisis, what we are experiencing, and you say it is more institutional than technological, more focused on U.S. media ecosystem dynamics than on Russia, and more driven by asymmetric political polarization than by commercial advertising systems. Can you unpack that for us and give us a sense of what that ecosystem is actually like?
In 472 pages.
So we'll give you 30 seconds. No, please.
Let's take each of the three. The book, we use a lot of data, millions of stories and how they're tweeted and Facebook shares to get at the answers. The core claim is that when we look at the shape of communications in the United States, whether we measure it by how stories are tweeted, whether we measure it on the supply side by how media producers link to each other and give credit, whether we do it by text and the similarity of text or by Facebook sharing, what we see is a highly asymmetric media ecosystem. We see a very insular right wing that links to itself. The producers pay attention to each other and give authority to each other. The consumers only look at what's inside. And then the rest of the media ecosystem is a single ecosystem where you can't really talk about it as post-truth. Instead, you need to see everything from the Wall Street Journal and Forbes all the way to Mother Jones and Daily Kos and the Huffington Post, all forming a single media ecosystem anchored in professional journalism with a variety of more or less partisan framings around it.
What do you mean single media ecosystem? What does that actually mean?
It means that when you look at what sources are most cited by all of these, irrespective of how far left or center right they are, that's traditional professional media. It's the New York Times, it's the Washington Post, it's CNN, and there's a normal distribution of attention. The farther away you get from that, the farther away you get from that mainstream, the less attention you get. Once you look at the right, it's exactly the opposite. The more exclusively right-wing your content is, the more attention you get. In fact, when we look at the structure of the right-wing media ecosystem, during the election, the most important site online was Breitbart because it had a duet with Trump. Fox News in 2017 reemerges as the most important part, but only by becoming more right-wing. It actually loses links and attention from producers in the center-right and the center as it's increasing in authority in the right. So it is faced with a choice, either go full Trump or lose attention, and it goes full Trump, and we see that in the data. So that's the asymmetric polarization, and critically, it's only in this insular media ecosystem that only is a strong word. Overwhelmingly, in quantitative terms, most of the falsehood, confusion, fake news in the sense of clickbait that's trying to be commercial occupies this system much more so than on the left. And on the left, when it emerges, what we see is a story emerges, then it's fact-checked from inside the system, and then it dies. So the dynamics are very different, and the insularity of the right-wing media ecosystem is what makes it susceptible both to Facebook clickbait fabricators and to Russian propagandists, and most importantly to domestic propagandist outlet, Fox, Breitbart, and so forth.
So it's important for people to realize, those who are not familiar with your work, and who are also trying to figure out this ecosystem, that the Russians, which are the focus of so much attention, are hardly going first in this ecosystem. They are piling on